Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Bro.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Ji, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Srila Prabhupada Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtapraeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vamcha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji's welcome you all to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav Fast Track course.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we will just have a quick recap of where do we stand in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1. So we saw in the first chapter 6 different questions being asked by Suta Goswami by the sages of Naimisharanya to Suta Goswami. So the sages had assembled to perform a long running sacrifice for 1000 years for the well-being of people in the upcoming fallen age of Kali. And they happened to meet and hear from Suta Goswami. So they ask very relevant set of questions like what is the ultimate good for people in general? What is the essence of all Vedic scriptures? Why did Lord Krishna appeared as the son of Vasudev and Devaki? Explained about the Leela avatars and the Guna avatars. And final question was where did Dharma take shelter when Lord Krishna left this earthly planet to go to his own abode? Where did Dharma take shelter? And when these questions were answered by Suta Goswami, the sages of Naimisharanya, they were enlivened to further make inquiries, to ask a secondary set of questions to Suta Goswami. So specifically, the questions relate to the history of Srimad Bhagavatam, question about the author of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva. How did he get the inspiration? How did he get the feeling in his heart to compose this Amalam Puranam, to compose this topmost of all the literatures, praising and describing the process of pure devotional service? How did Srila Vyasadeva get inspiration to write this scripture? Then they also ask a question about Shukadev Goswami, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they ask question about Parikshit Maharaj, the primary hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam. And how did Shukadev Goswami happen to meet with Maharaj Parikshit? So we will see, as before starting the verse for today, just the background to this particular part, that the sages of Naimisharanya, they are very inquisitive that Shukadev Goswami, he was such a transcendental personality that he would not stay back. Hare Krishna.
Voice was breaking.
Okay. Let me stop the video. Is it better now, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. It was clear for me in any case. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So the sages of Naimisharanya, they inquired that how did Shukadev Goswami, such a transcendentalist, who was staying at the home, at the doors of the householder's home, not more than the period that it would take to milk a cow, that means roughly 15-20 minutes. How did such a person, such a transcendentalist, spend 7 full days and 7 full nights giving his association to Maharaj Parikshit? What was so special about that particular interaction that this person stayed for that long at that particular place to give his association? And please explain to us, how did Srimad Bhagavatam came into being through the mouth of Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit? So we would start right at this particular point, which is text 9 onwards. Yeah, so the text 8 translation says, he, Shukadev Goswami, was accustomed to stay at the door of a householder only long enough for a cow to be milked. And he did this just to sanctify the residence. So how did such a personality give his association so magnanimously and so much in a liberated fashion that he stayed at that one particular place where Parikshit Maharaj and all the sages had assembled for 7 full days and night? So we'll start with text 9, where the sages, they ask about Parikshit Maharaj. They make various inquiries about Parikshit Maharaj. So we'll recite this particular verse. Anyone would like to volunteer to recite, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
One by one. Yeah, Prabhuji, we will give chance to devotees one by one so that everybody gets a chance. Okay.
Shall I do?
Mataji, I'll request devotees who have raised hand in that particular order. So you can keep your hand raised. I will request you also, Mataji. Okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Madhumayi Krishna Kanta Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please recite.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Pranams, Prabhuji.
Dandavat
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Abhimanyu Sutam Suta प्रभुर्भागवतोत्तमम् तस्य जन्मा महाश्चर्यम् कर्माणि च गृणीहिनः. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So here, three things have been mentioned by the sages of Naimisharanya in their glorification of Maharaj Parikshit. And which are these three things? Tasya janma maha ascharyam karma nicha grani hinaha. That three specific activities about Maharaj Parikshit are glorious according to the sages, which are that glorious is his birth, and why that is called as Maha Ascharyam. It is glorious and it is very mysterious. Why it is very, very special? Because Parikshit Maharaj, can anyone try and answer Prabhuji's Mataji's why is Parikshit Maharaj's birth very special?
He got the darshan of Lord even before the birth.
Even in the womb of his mother, he got the
The
darshan.
womb of the mother, he got the
Got the
darshan of God.
Thank you, Mataji. See, you all know so well that Parikshit Maharaj's birth was very special because he got the darshan of the Lord in the womb of his mother. And karma nicha, what was special about his karma, about his activities? What special thing he did?
In the starting of Kali Yuga, when Kali came in the form of this thing, he tried to kill him and protect the cow.
Yes. So Parikshit Maharaj, he was such a magnanimous soul, a great devotee, and a great emperor, powerful emperor, that he chastised Kali when the Kali Purusha, was hurting Dharma in the form of bull and Mother Earth in the form of cow. Plus, we will see in the subsequent verses how he also ruled the kingdom very, very religiously, taking care of both the material well-being plus the spiritual well-being of all the citizens. So his karmani, his activities, they are also magnanimous. And finally, his death, his passing away. Why was it magnanimous? Anyone?
Hare Krishna, because
Hare
he
Krishna,
was
yes, Mother.
like
Yeah.
pre-informed that he is going to die after 7 days. Plus, he heard the Srimad Bhagavatam without eating or drinking anything, nor even sleeping for a minute for all 7 days.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. So, Parikshit Maharaj, no ordinary soul gets a notice for the death. But Parikshit Maharaj, as Mataji nicely mentioned, he got 7 days of notice. Not only that, he utilized that 7 days period, giving up food, drink, sleep, and all the basic necessities of body to hear the message of Srimad Bhagavatam from the mouth of Shukadev Goswami, a pure devotee of the Lord. So here, Parikshit Maharaj is glorified for his birth, activities, and death, and he is also glorified as Prahur Bhagavata Uttamam, the topmost of the devotees of Lord Krishna, who was the son of Abhimanyu, then whose activities, his birth and death, all were glorious. So we'll request one devotee, Neeta Mataji, Hare Krishna, if you could read the translation and highlighted part of the purport. Hare Krishna. Done.
Translation. It is said that Maharaja Parikshit is a great first-class devotee of the Lord and that his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell us about him. Purport. Shri Prabhupada Ji ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ji ki Dwara. The birth of Maharaja Parikshit is wonderful because in the womb of his mother, he was protected by the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. His activities are also wonderful because he chastised Kali, who was attempting to kill a cow. To kill cow means to end human civilization. He wanted to protect the cow from being killed by the general representative of him. His death is also wonderful because he got previous notice of his death, which is wonderful for any mortal being. And thus he prepared himself for passing away by sitting down on the bank of the Ganges and hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Thank you. So we see the sages of Naimisharanya are very eager to hear about this Bhagavata Uttamam, about this first-class devotee, topmost devotee of Lord Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj, and they further glorify they have a specific inquiry about Parikshit Maharaj, that he had XYZ, so many list of good qualities, and not only was he himself a great Vaishnava, he was also such a great personality who was able to give shelter to all the subjects for their spiritual well-being. So we'll recite this verse. Yes. Text 10. Vijaya Kumari Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please unmute Mataji, you can recite. All right. Chanda Yadav Mataji, can you unmute? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. You are comfortable reciting?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine.
Hare Krishna. Sasmarat kasya yate hom Pandunama Pandunamavardhanaha Prayopavisto Gangayam Anandrathyadhirat Sirayam.
Thank you, Mataji. Translation and the highlighted part of the
Yes,
purport.
Prabhuji. Yes, he was a great emperor and possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted and that he was increasing the prestige of the Pandu dynasty. Why did he give up the everything to sit down on the bank of Ganges and fast until death? Purport: Maharaja Parikshit was the emperor of the world and all the seas and oceans. He did not have to take the trouble to acquire such a kingdom by his own effort. He inherited it from his grandfathers, Maharaja Yudhishthira and brothers. Beside that, he was doing well in the administrations and was worthy of the good names of his forefathers. Consequently, there was nothing undesirable in his opulence and administration. Then why should he give up all these favorable circumstances and sit down on the bank of Ganges, fasting till death? This is astonishing, and therefore all were eager to know the cause. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here the sages are specifically glorifying Maharaj Parikshit, that he inherited not only just the material wealth, the kingdom from his grandfathers, the Pandavas, but he also inherited the devotional qualities from the Pandavas. In the later part of Canto 1, we see specific inquiries made by Maharaj Yudhishthir to the Brahmanas when the child Parikshit was born, to inquire whether the child, he would carry the same great qualities as a devotee of the Lord that his father Abhimanyu plus his grandfather Arjuna plus all the grandfathers including the Pandavas, the whole Pandava family, they were all pure devotees of the Lord. So would the child also carry the same set of great qualities as a devotee? Parikshit Maharaj, his characteristics are being inquired by Maharaj Yudhishthir to the Brahmanas right at the birth. So we see he did inherit not just the material opulence, but he inherited even the devotional mood and character of Maharaj Yudhishthir. Like we see in the later part of Bhagavatam, Maharaj Yudhishthir is glorified in the verse, in the 10th chapter, 3rd verse, by saying, Nishamya Bhishmoktam Tatha Achyutoktam. That means Maharaj Yudhishthir, he ruled the kingdom based on the instructions he received personally from Bhishmadev as well as from Lord Krishna personally. So similarly, similar to the way his grandfather ruled the kingdom, making sure of the material well-being as well as spiritual well-being and advancement of all the citizens. Parikshit Maharaj was also very careful that all the citizens prosper well so that they can focus their attention on spiritual well-being and progress as well. So why now for somebody who has got problems in his life, say to detach oneself is very easy. Why? Because there is an impetus to, impetus is basically, Srila Prabhupada mentions in one place, for one to take up devotional service very nicely, distaste for the material enjoyment is helpful. That means to a degree, once one is completely frustrated in material life, for him or her to take spiritual life is very, very natural and it is very easy relatively. But in case of Maharaj Parikshit, the sages are very inquisitive that he has everything. He has opulent kingdom. He has submissive wife, children, and the subjects. He has his treasury house full with all the opulence, with everything so favorably disposed towards him. Why did he still decide to leave all of that opulence to sit at the banks of the Ganges to hear Srimad Bhagavatam? Why was he so committed for leaving all these opulent circumstances which people in general aspire for? So the sages were very inquisitive. We proceed to the next verse. Any questions, comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Are we going too fast? Is it all right? Hare Krishna.
We are good, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
Oh,
Prabhuji.
Hare
okay.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. All right. Ananda Prada Indulekha Mataji. You can recite the verse. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namanti yat padniketmatmanaha Shivaya hanya dhanani shatravaha Katham saviram shriyamanga dustajam Yuvaishatots srashtumaho sahasubihi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So before we go to the translation, let's see some of these words that are used in this verse. Namanti yat pada niketam atmanaha. That all the other kings, Parikshit Maharaja's rule was so glorious that all other kings on the earth would accept him as the sovereign king of the earthly planet, so much so that they would bow down their head to the footrest on which Parikshit Maharaj used to put his foot or rest his feet on. So that footrest of Parikshit Maharaj, all the kings, they were bowing down their heads. That means they had accepted the subservience to Maharaj Parikshit. Plus Shivaya Haniya Dhanani Shatravaha. That his life was also meant for the Shivaya, for the welfare of all the people in general. It was meant to uplift all the people in general in their spiritual pursuit. Plus, not only the spiritual progress, but Dhanani Shatravaha. That he would also, all the kings basically, they were obedient to him. They would surrender the requisite taxes and the treasury to Maharaj Parikshit for their own well-being, and Maharaj Parikshit would use that for the material well-being as well as the spiritual well-being of all the subjects. Ananda Prada Mataji, you can read the translation.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He was such a great emperor that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. He was full of youth and strength, and he possessed kingly opulences that were difficult to give up. Why did he want to give up everything, including his life? Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So we see Bhagavatam, it gives us so many glorious examples of personalities whose life stands in stark contrast to the so-called pursuits and the preferences which we cherish and pursue in our own life. Say, for example, there is a description of Maharaj Bharat. description of Maharaj Parikshit, description of Pandavas, these are great personalities. For Bharat Maharaj, it is explained that he had opulences similar to that of, even better than the king of heaven, Indra, and he had a wife so obedient and beautiful, which was even more, or whose beauty was comparable to even Sachi Devi, the wife of Indra. So many opulences, obedient wife, obedient children, respecting and surrendered subjects, but still Maharaj Parikshit, and he was also full of youth and strength, so no bodily discomfort or diseases. Having everything so favorably disposed, why did Maharaj Parikshit still give up all that? We'll proceed. And not only the material opulences, okay, one may say that one can still be detached, because that is one of the quality that Lord Krishna himself personalizes in his own life, he demonstrates in his own life, and pure devotees of the Lord also inherit all those good qualities. But the second verse specifically asks one more detail about renunciation of Maharaj Parikshit. So we'll request a devotee, Shashi Kumar Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, ma'am, Prabhuji. Text 12.
Purport, text 12, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Shivaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye ye uttama shloka parayana janaha jivanti natmartamaso parashrayam mumocha nirvidya gutah kalevaram. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here the glorious qualities of Maharaj Parikshit are described as Shivaya. So this word we saw in the earlier verse also. Shivaya, that means the spiritual welfare of all the people in general. Shivaya Lokasya. So not only was he taking care of spiritual welfare, Bhavaya Bhutaye. So Bhavaya, Srila Prabhupada translates as economic development. That means material welfare. So he was using his strength and power for both spiritual upliftment as well as material well-being of all the subjects. And plus, ya uttama shloka parayana janaha. He was a uttama shloka parayana devotee. That means he was completely surrendered unto that Supreme Lord Krishna, who is praised with the choicest of the poetry. And such people who are completely surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord, what is the characteristic of their life? It is mentioned here, Jivanti na atmartham asau parashrayam. That such people, they don't live just for their own swartha. They don't live just for the selfish purpose for which a normal Tom, Dick and Harry in this world, they live. They live for no atmartham, not for selfish motive, but asau para ashrayam. They are able to give shelter to all the innocent mass of people so that their lives can also be built in spiritual pursuit. So such great souls, great devotees of the Lord, Narayana Parayana, they offer spiritual shelter to common innocent people. Mumocha nirvidya kute kuta kalevaram. How could he give up his mortal body? What does it mean? That to give up something which is just impacting me, say for example, I am millionaire or billionaire, which I am not, but say for example, if I am, then for me to give up is still okay. Why? Because it would impact only me and my life, because the whole world will still go on its own. They don't have to bother. But in case of Maharaj Parikshit, that was not the case. Maharaj Parikshit not only was himself a great emperor, but lives of thousands and thousands of and millions of people, whoever were living on the earth planet at that point in time, their lives were also dependent on the power and opulence of Maharaj Parikshit for their material well-being and spiritual well-being. And if such surrendered souls, jivanti na atmartham, if such surrendered souls surrendered at the lotus feet of the Lord, they live for the welfare of others, then before renouncing his opulence and kingdom and rulership, he must have thought about these people as well, right? Whose spiritual progress was also dependent on him. So his life was not only impacting himself, but it was giving shelter to so many common people. So why did he decide to renounce everything and give up his body at the banks of the Ganges? That is the query. Prabhuji, please go through translation and highlighted part of the purport, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of the others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So even though the Emperor Parikshit was free from all the attachment to worldly possessions, how could he give up his mortal body, which was the shelter for others? But since he was the king for the all-around welfare of his citizens, he was always busy in the welfare work of the public, not only for this life, but also for the next. He was not a foolish and partial administrator who would arrange for the protection of one living being and allow another to be killed. Because he was
Yes,
a
Prabhu.
devotee.
We'll take a pause here, Prabhu. So
Okay.
here, Hare Krishna. Here, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that he was not a foolish and partial administrator. What do we mean by partial administrator? It means that this particular administrator or the king is very kind and merciful in giving shelter to one class of living entities, say for example human beings, while allowing the innocent animals to be killed in an organized manner in the slaughterhouse. So we see the modern administrators of various countries, they are like partial administrators. Why? Because they bother about their own kingsmen, and sometimes, what to speak of animals, they don't bother about people in other geographies, in other kingdoms, in other countries as well. So that is called as partial administrator, very limited view of what the king's duty is with respect to the subjects. So those administrators who, while taking care of people, would allow the slaughter of the innocent animals, they are considered as not full or foolish partial administrators. Yes, Prabhu, please proceed.
Because he was the devotee of the Lord, he knew perfectly well how to conduct his administration for everyone's happiness, men, animals, plants, and all living creatures. He was not selfishly interested. Selfishness is either self-centered or self-extended. Therefore, the king's interest is to guide all the subjects back to the kingdom of God. Hence, the activities of the citizens should be so coordinated that they can, at the end, go back home, back to Godhead. Under the administration of a representative king, the kingdom is full of opulences. If all living beings are satisfied with food and shelter and obey the prescribed rules, there cannot be any disturbance between one living being and the other. Emperor Parikshit was a worthy king, and therefore all were happy during his reign. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here it is mentioned that if the people in general, they don't have the basic necessities of life in sumptuous quantity, in sufficient quantity, including food, clothing, shelter, etc., then it becomes very, very difficult for them to properly focus on spiritual pursuit, on spiritual life, progress in spiritual life. Like, can we think of example of any other devotee king, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, who, when he saw that people were lacking in the basic necessities of life, including grains, fruits, vegetables, rains, milk, etc., first of all, that particular king decided to fulfill those necessities before the spiritual pursuit or spiritual focus can be the center of people's life. Can we think of any such example? Anyone?
Ritu Maharaj.
Prithu Maharaj, yes, very nice. So we see in the life of Prithu Maharaj, his own father, Maharaj Vena, he was such a adharmic or irreligious king that he made everything very topsy-turvy, not even bothering about the scriptural injunctions or about the injunctions being given by the priestly class. And as a result, he had to be dethroned and killed because of his irreligious rule. And after he being killed, kingdom which was bad enough, it became even worse, because the thieves and the robbers, they got completely without any control, and they got completely loose. They had no fear of any strong ruler, so it became a havoc all over the kingdom because of not having a proper king. And that time, Maharaj Vena's body was churned by the priestly order to create the body of King Prithu and Archie, his better half. And then we see when Maharaj Prithu found that the basic necessities of life for people were lacking, he first of all decided to perform great sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord and all the representatives of the Lord, including the Devatas, to have sufficient provision of necessities for all people in general. And in case of Maharaj Parikshit, Bhagavatam says, what is the word? Shivaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye. Means Shivaya means spiritual well-being, and Bhavaya means material prosperity, economic development. So both spiritual and material prosperity he was very careful about for his subjects. Let me just check upon the slides. Yeah. All right. We'll proceed. Anyone has any queries or any comments to share? Prabhuji's Mataji's Hare Krishna on this part of Bhagavatam glorifying the renunciation of Maharaj Parikshit, why it was special. Can anyone just paraphrase in one statement why it was special? What was special about Maharaj Parikshit's renunciation? Anyone in one statement?
Prabhuji, can I say?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
In the presence of all opulences and everything in his control, he could, renunciate everything.
Right, very nice, Mataji. And plus, his rule was a shelter to all people. So it was impacting not just his life, but his being there as a ruler was impacting, basically it was facilitating the spiritual progress of all the citizens, common people in general. Right?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we proceed to text 13. Yes. So this is the sages of Naimisharanya glorifying Suta Goswami. Let me just 1 second. Yes, and there is a one such verse in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which also glorifies great devotees of the Lord, how their only purpose to live in this world is to show mercy to those people who have become vimukha. That means who have turned their face away from Lord Krishna, to show them mercy. So here it is mentioned, Janasya Krishna विमुखस्य दैवात् अधर्मशीलसुखदुःखितस्य अनुग्रहायेह चरन्ति नूनं bhutani bhavyani janardanasya. So such personalities who have completely dedicated themselves to surrender to Lord Janardana, Lord Krishna, and to show compassion towards those people who have turned their face away from Lord Krishna and have become engaged, busy in following the path of adharma, path of irreligion. So dukkhitasya, and because of turning their face away from Krishna, they are always very morose and unhappy and frustrated in their lives. To show compassion to such people, what do the surrendered souls do? Anugrahaya iha charanti nunam, that they move around on the surface of the earth only to show anugraha, to show special compassion to such people. Bhutani bhavyani janardanasya, so that the common innocent mass of people can be uplifted. So such bhavyani means magnanimous soul, who are very liberal in giving, who are very philanthropic in their disposition. Such philanthropic souls, they live on this earth and move about only to show compassion to innocent mass of people. So Parikshit Maharaj was one such. Of course, he was not a renunciate, but he lived his life just for Bhavaya Lokasya, for the spiritual upliftment of his subjects. Then why did he renounce everything? So this question was asked by the sages to Suta Goswami. So we'll proceed to the next verse. Vinita Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Yes, Mataji. 13.
Yes. Padam, verse 13. Tat sarvam samasakshva prushto yat iga kinchana manye tvam visaye vacham snatam anyatra santasat. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portions of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So we see so many questions being asked by the sages of Naimisharanya about Maharaj Parikshit, that he was so opulent, he was so favorably disposed to service to Lord Krishna, and he was so magnanimous to uplift the people in general. Why did he renounce everything and sit to fast until death at the banks of the Ganges? So, our dear Shukadev Suta Goswami, please answer these questions, because you are an expert in the meaning of all these subjects. But when statement is very important here, which I have highlighted, except for some portions of the Vedas. So what does it mean? If we go back a little and go to the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we will find in text 6 onwards, next 2-3 verses, Suta Goswami being glorified by the sages of Naimisharanya as being completely free from all voice, and he is very well versed with all the scriptures, religious scriptures, and Puranas and Itihasas and everything. So if Suta Goswami, who was glorified earlier as being very well versed in all the religious scriptures, then why here the sages of Naimisharanya are saying that except in some portions of the Vedas? So how do we understand this particular part of Srila Prabhupada's translation? So we see in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that there are two types of experts in the Vedic literature, the Brahmanas and the Parivrajakacharyas. So what is the difference between these two classes of people who are definitely advanced in the spiritual knowledge? But one class of people are the Brahmanas, who are very expert in reciting all the Vedic mantras in proper meter and quotations, etc. And recently we saw a boy from Nashik, Maharashtra. He studied in Varanasi the Vedic knowledge, and he recited the whole of Yajurveda, which took many hours for a very prolonged period of time. I believe, if I'm not wrong, close to 30 days, every day 3 to 4 hours that recitation went on. So definitely that is also a very important qualification. But persons who are qualified in this particular art of reciting the scriptures, knowing the scriptures very thoroughly, they are called as Brahmanas. On the other hand, there is another class of spiritually advanced personalities who are called as Parivrajakacharyas. What does it mean? That these Parivrajakacharyas, they know the essence of all the revealed scriptures. They may not probably know some part of the Vedas, or they may not be able to 100% recite with 100% accuracy various Vedic verses, but they know what is the essence of the Vedas to follow in our life, to perfect our life, to go back home, back to Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada, that example I have mentioned here on the slide, one time Srila Prabhupada was giving darshan in Vrindavan, and in the evening, many people, even from outside, they used to come to meet and have conversation with Srila Prabhupada. So one time, few such leaders had come to meet Srila Prabhupada one evening in Sri Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan. And these visitors, they mentioned to Srila Prabhupada that Swamiji, it's very nice that you have preached in the West and you have brought back white disciples of yours. You made them into Krishna Bhaktas, brought them back to India. But one thing we have observed that their pronunciation is not 100% perfect. There are some mistakes because they don't know Sanskrit well. And Srila Prabhupada mentioned a very emphatic statement. Srila Prabhupada said, see, their pronunciation may not be 100% perfect, but their renunciation is very good. What does it mean? That Prabhupada mentions in the last part of the purport that we will see, this particular purport, that mere parrot like recitation of the mantras is not as important as really knowing the essence of what the scriptures are trying to reveal, the scriptures are trying to say. So that understanding of the essence of the Vedas is much, much more important than just like a parrot like recitation of the scriptures. So this is a difference between a Brahmana versus a Paribrajakacharya. That means such a transcendentalist, he may be even illiterate. Like we see in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, the spiritual master of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he was not materially speaking very highly learned, he was illiterate, but spiritually a realized soul, to the extent that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, upon the instruction of his own father, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who asked him to take shelter of Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, when he approached Babaji Maharaj declined by saying that you are such a scholar, you are such a learned person, and I am an illiterate, I am not qualified to be your spiritual master. And first time then next time Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur again pursued, and he said, I will ask Lord Chaitanya, and when I meet him next, and then I would decide. And understand, Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj is not an ordinary devotee. When did he come into being existence? Few centuries after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already concluded his pastimes. But these acharyas have the access to the Supreme Lord. So next time Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur went, and he asked Babaji Maharaj, did you get a chance to get confirmation from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu if you could accept me as your disciple? And Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, I had a conversation, but I missed asking this particular query. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was, he was not dejected, but he kept patient. And like that, 3-4 meetings happened, but Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was actually testing the sincerity of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And finally, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, feeling that Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj is not willing to accept him as his disciple, he was willing to jump into Ganges, and he decided to basically jump into Ganges and end his life. And then Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, seeing the sincerity and genuinity of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, decided to give his mercy and accept Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur as his only disciple. He did not have any disciple before Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and even after Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So the point is, these are transcendentalists like Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Materially speaking, they may not be fully learned in the Vedic literatures, but what is important, they know perfectly well the conclusions of all the Vedic literatures, so much so that such a scholarly personality like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who knew entire Bhagavad Gita in and out at the age of 8, he also subsequently took shelter of such great soul. So knowing the essence of the scriptures, the conclusion of the scriptures, and following it in one's life is very, very important. And if Krishna has given us intelligence to recite verses by heart them very well, we can use that intelligence, but that is not the only criteria to advance in devotional life. Any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. All right. And here also a beautiful verse from Bhagavatam is mentioned on the slide where Maitreya Maharshi, he, after explaining the universal form to Vidura in third canto of Bhagavatam, he tells Vidura that, my dear Vidura, I don't know much about Krishna, to be honest, but I would still try to describe about Lord Krishna to you. Why? Because whatever I have heard from my spiritual master, of course, Maitreya Maharshi heard from none other than Lord Krishna in the assembly where Uddhava was also present. So he said, in order to have my power of speech, all power of my senses and faculties chaste, I must utilize these senses in glorifying Lord Krishna. Only then our power of speech will be chaste. It will remain loyal. That means even if we know little bit about Krishna, that is not important how much we know. What is important? Whether we are making full effort to share whatever little we know with people in general for their welfare. Then our knowledge, our power of speech, our power to memorize, our power to remember, all of our faculties will be chaste. Till that time, if we are simply trying to understand but not using that knowledge to share with others, then our faculties will remain unchaste. Any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna, on this point? Is it clear?
Yes,
Hare,
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, it is clear.
Hare Krishna. So just one incident in this regard, I would mention one pastime from Srila Prabhupada's life, and then we proceed. So in 1971, in Cross Maidan in Mumbai, when Srila Prabhupada he gave a 7-day talk every evening. Almost 20 to 25,000 people used to come to hear from Srila Prabhupada on Krishna consciousness, on Srimad Bhagavatam. And many senior devotees, disciples who were, to be honest, at that particular point in time, they were all very young in their Krishna consciousness. So the most senior devotees used to be like 2, 3, 4 years in Krishna consciousness, not more than that. So when Srila Prabhupada was speaking, he had many of his Western disciples assisting him with various services. And one such disciple was Her Grace Malati Prabhu. So that time, or even the Matajis used to be referred to as Prabhu. So I'm using the word Prabhu, Malati Prabhu. So the daughter of Malati Prabhu, her name was Saraswati. And in the Pandal program in Cross Maidan, when visitors used to come before start of Srila Prabhupada's class, this daughter of Malati Prabhu, her name was Saraswati, she would go to strangers, the visitors, and she would hold their hand and ask them, my dear sir or my dear mother, Mataji, do you know who is Krishna? And naturally people would get enchanted by her innocent voice and innocence of a child, and they would say, no, I don't know, can you tell me? And she said, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. She had heard and remembered that statement from Srila Prabhupada. And when Srila Prabhupada saw her enthusiasm, Saraswati's enthusiasm to share what she knew to people in general, he said, this is perfect preaching. That means how much we know about Krishna is not important. How eager we are to serve Krishna by sharing that little bit of knowledge with others is very, very important. And here Maitreya Maharshi is saying, only then our power of speech and our faculties, our senses will be chaste. All right, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Hare Krishna. So we proceed. Yeah. So we saw till now questions being asked by the sages of Naimisharanya about history of Srimad Bhagavatam in the beginning of chapter 4. Then questions about Maharaj Parikshit, about his qualifications, opulences, and why did he renounce despite all that. And about Shukadev Goswami, how did he come in touch with Parikshit Maharaj, and if he was staying at a householder's house for such a little period of time, duration of time, how did he decide to be magnanimous to devote 7 days and 7 nights to give association to Maharaj Parikshit. So all these questions were asked. Let's proceed. Yes, sorry, who had recited this verse? Mataji, you can read the last part of the
Yes,
purport.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of the Bhagavatam, although he is already self-realized, self-realized. Srila Sutta Goswami is following his footsteps, and therefore his position is not the last less important, because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with metric pronunciation, which depends more on practice than actual realization. Realization is more important than parroting chanting. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So the realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. So just
Yes,
reciting
parrot.
without
Sorry,
realization. No problem, Mataji. So as we just said, even our effort in glorifying Krishna in whatever little way we can is appreciated by Krishna and pure devotees. So we'll proceed to text 14. Let me see who is next. So those devotees who want to recite, who have not recited, keep your hands raised. Lalita Vinodini Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Sutta uvacha dvapare samanuprapte tritiye yuga paryeye jata parasharat yogi vasavyam kalavyaharehe. Hare Krishna. Translation, should I read?
Yes, Mataji.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sutta Goswami said, when the second millennium overlapped the third, the great sage Vyasadeva was born to Parashara in the womb of Satyavati, the daughter of Vasu. Purport.
Thank you. Yeah, Mataji. Yeah, purport is short. So yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Purport. There is a chronological order of the 4 millenniums, namely Satya, Dwapara, Treta, and Kali. But sometimes there is overlapping. During the regime of Vaivasvata Manu, there was an overlapping of the 28th round of the 4 millenniums, and the third millennium appeared prior to the second. In that particular millennium, Lord Sri Krishna also descends, and because of this, there was some particular alteration. The mother of the great sage was Satyavati, the daughter of Vasu, who is a fisherman, and the father was great Parashara Muni. This is the history of Vyasadeva's birth. Every millennium is divided into 3 periods, and each period is called a Sandhya. Vyasadeva appeared in the third Sandhya of that particular age. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that typically the order of the ages, 4 ages, Satya Yuga is normally followed by Dwapar Yuga. What we know the order? Satya, Treta, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga. This is the order we know. Why? Because that is the order in the current millennium, in the current cycle of 28 cycle of out of 1000 cycles in one day of Brahma. So because in one day of Brahma, Lord Krishna specifically appears in the 28th cycle, in this particular cycle of the 4 ages, the order is slightly altered, is slightly made different. So instead of Satya Yuga followed by Treta Yuga followed by Dwapar Yuga followed by, instead of Satya Yuga followed by Dwapar, then Treta and then Kali Yuga, the second and third get swapped. So Treta Yuga comes first, then the Dwapar Yuga comes. So this question was once asked by one of the devotees. I don't know if Mataji is here. Sri Hari Priya Mataji. Yes. Mataji, you remember one time you had asked this? And
Yes,
I just
Prabhuji.
remembered while reading the purport. So in this particular cycle, when Lord Krishna personally appears, the order is slightly altered. Second and third yugas get swapped with each other. So in this yuga, in Dwapar Yuga, the third Sandhya. So in the Subodhini, Prabhuji, our Gauranga Darshan Prabhuji, he mentions about the, sorry, what is the verse number? 14. Prabhuji mentions about the 3 sandhyas which are called as, which are called as Sandhya Rupa, which is the 10% of the age, Yuga. Then 80% of the age is the main period of the Yuga, which is called as Yuga Rupa. And last 10% is called as Sandhyamsa Rupa. That means the first part of the every age and last part, last 10%, first 10% is called as Yuga Sandhya. So in that last part of the Dwapar Yuga, before Lord Krishna's appearance, we see Vyasadeva appeared in Dwapar Yuga. And what did he do? It comes in the next verse. So we'll request a devotee.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, should I?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. What is your name, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Saheli, boss.
Saheli Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you can recite.
Thank you. Text 4.15. Sa kadachit sarasvatya upasprishya jalam suchi viviktai kashina udite ravi mandale. Sa he kadachit once.
You can read the translation, Mataji, directly. Once upon a time.
Okay. Once upon a time, he, Vasudeva, as the sun rose, took his morning ablution in the waters of the Saraswati and sat alone to concentrate. Purport. The river Saraswati is flowing in the Badarika Shrama area of the Himalayas. So the place indicated here is Samya Prasa in Badarika Shrama, where Sri Vasudeva is residing.
Thank you, Mataji. And all of you will be amazed to know this particular place, the Vyasadeva's cave, Guha, is still there near Badrikashram in Himalayas. And this place is called Samyaprash. What is the word that is? Samyaprash Kshetra, where Srila Vyasadev's cave is located on the banks of the Saraswati river. Now, of course, the Saraswati river is not fully visible, but the origin, the beginning of Saraswati river is, that place is also there in Himalayas. So we can even visit that place now as well. One second. Audarya Gauranga Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Audarya Prabhu, you want to recite? All right. Gayatri Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Verse 17 and 18, right, Prabhuji?
16.
Hare Krishna. Paravargnah sa rushihi kalena vyaktaram hasa yugadharma vyatikaram praptam bhuvi yuge yuge.
Translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Vasudeva saw anomalies in the duties of the millennium. This happens on the earth in different ages due to the unseen force of time. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Purport.
Purport should I read?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Hare Krishna. The great sages like Vasudeva are liberated souls, and therefore they can see clearly past and future. Thus he could see the future anomalies in the Kali age, and accordingly he made arrangement for the people in general, so that they can execute a progressive life in this age, which is full of darkness. The people in general in this age of Kali are too much interested in matter, which is temporary. Because of ignorance, they are unable to evaluate the assets of life and be enlightened in the spiritual knowledge. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So we see personalities like Vyasadev, they are completely aware, they are completely cognizant about past, present and future. So Mataji, those who are not speaking, Prabhuji's Mataji, you can mute so that everybody can hear. So we see Vyasadeva was able to see the fallen condition of upcoming age, people in the upcoming age, namely Kali Yuga. So he was able to understand what all anomalies are going to happen. Anomalies in the sense the depletion of following of the religious principles. So it is mentioned in later part of Canto 1 that in Satya Yuga, the dharma is standing on its all four legs. That means 100% of the religious principles are followed more or less properly, leaving aside some exceptions. There were demons in Satya Yuga as well, but very less in general. Then 25%, that means one pillar out of the four, that becomes depleted in the subsequent age, in the Treta Yuga, in this particular millennium. And then in Dwapar Yuga, further depletion of following of the religious principles happens, where hardly 50% of the religious principles are followed by people in general. And Kali Yuga, it is mentioned that dharma is standing on its last leg, which is also tottering. That means the religious principles have depleted so much because of degradation of this age. And what are exact anomalies, which are exact irreligious results of following irreligiosity? Those anomalies are mentioned in the next verse by Shukadev Goswami and Suta Goswami. So this will be the last set of two verses we'll discuss for today. Let me see. Radha Vallabhi, Radha Vallabhi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat
Hare Krishna. Mataji, what is your name?
Radha Vallabhi.
Vallabi. Okay, your spelling you wrote in a way I got confused. Vallabi Mat, Radha Vallabi Mat. Yes, Mataji.
Text 17 and 18. Bhautikānam ca bhāvānam shaktiharsham ca tatkritam ashradhanam nishastamvan durmedhan harishta दुर्भाग्यं च जना विक्स्य मुनिर्देवेन चक्षुषा सर्ववर्णाश्रम यथ दधोहितम् अमोघदृक्. Translation by Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, so Hare Krishna Mataji, before we go to the translation, let's try to understand the words that Suta Goswami uses to glorify Vyasadeva. What all anomalies did Vyasadeva observe or see for people in Kali Yuga? So that age which was still to come. Bhautikanam cha bhavanam. That means people in this particular age of Kali Yuga, they are more careful or more attentive or more attracted to something which is of less value, that means matter, and they comfortably neglect something which is of real value, which is spirit or spiritual life. Plus they are Shakti Rahasam, that means their strength, material spiritual strength is depleted. Ashraddha, that means their faith is not as strong or as well developed as people of the earlier bygone ages. Nisatwan, that means the mode of goodness is also lacking. Durmedham, so Medha means intelligence, Sumedha means people with good intelligence, advanced intelligence, and Durmedhan, that means their intelligence is also corrupt, affected. Rushita Ayusha, that means they are short lived, the duration of life is less. Durbagam, that means they are more or less fortunate, not so fortunate. So all these are the disqualifications or of people in Kali Yuga, in this fallen age of Kali, that Vyasadeva he envisaged, he saw, and that's why he, one second, being a Amogha Druk, being completely equipped in knowledge, he decided to take some action to perform the welfare for such fallen people in this Kali Yuga. Yes, Radha Vallabi Mataji, translation.
Okay. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage who was fully equipped in knowledge could see through his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything material due to the influence of the age. He could also see that the faithless people in general would be reduced in duration of life and would be impatient due to lack of goodness. Thus, he contemplated for the welfare of men in all statuses and orders of life. Hare Krishna.
Yes, purport.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The unmanifested forces of time are so powerful that they reduce all matter to oblivion in due course. In Kali Yuga, the last millennium of the round of 4 millenniums, the power of all material objects deteriorates by the influence of time. In this age, the duration of material body of the people in general is made reduced, and so is the memory. The action of matter has also not so much incentive. The land does not produce food grains in the same proportion as it did in other ages. The cow does not give as much milk as it used to give formerly. The production of vegetables and fruits in less than before. As such, all living beings, both men and animals, do not have sumptuous nourishing food. Due to want of so many necessities of life, naturally the duration of life is reduced. The memory is short. Intelligence is meager. Mutual dealings are full of hypocrisy and so on. The great sage Vyasadeva could see this by his transcendental vision. As an astrologer can see the future fate of a man, or an astronomer can foretell the solar and lunar eclipse. Those liberated souls who can see through the scriptures can foretell the future of all mankind. They can see this due to their sharp vision of spiritual attainment. And all such transcendentalists who are naturally devotees of the Lord are always eager to render welfare service to the people in general. They are the real friends of the people in general, not the so-called public leaders who are unable to see what is going to happen 5 minutes ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll take a pause here. So here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining based on this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam that there are so many demerits of being born in Kali Yuga, that we are short-lived, the memory is less, the health is not as strong, the basic necessities of life, the supplies of food, etc., milk, vegetables, it is scarce. So one thing one might consider, that are we really unfortunate that we have got so many, just by being born here at this particular time on the earth planet, we have got so many inborn difficulties with respect to our health, with respect to our surroundings and everything. So what is the answer, Prabhujis and Matajis? Can anyone answer? Anybody, any thoughts? Are we unfortunate?
No, Prabhuji, we
No,
are
Prabhuji, we are
We are
fortunate.
very
fortunate
fortunate.
to have the
Fortunate.
We
Harinama.
are fortunate, Prabhuji.
We have Nama Jabam.
Very,
Hare
very
Krishna
nice. See,
Mahamantram we have.
very nice, Prabhu. See, all of you are
Hare
such realized person that all of you feel that despite all these demerits, despite these anomalies, we are very fortunate, and the scriptures completely agree with you. In the scriptures, it is mentioned that even the great devatas, demigods, they are also waiting in queue, Prabhujis and Matajis, to be able to take birth on this earthly planet. What to speak of earth, especially within the earthly planet, in the area, in the region of Bharatavarsha, in this age of Kali. Why? Because to perfect one's life, the qualifying criteria has been made very, very simple by the Lord. And it has further been made accessible through great acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, who mentioned that, as we also discussed in our last discussion, that we follow the process that he has given, including chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, following the 4 regulative principles, and reading his books being in association of devotees, rendering services to the movement. And then Prabhupada said that if we follow all these points properly, sincerely, he would give us the qualification and he would get us entry through the back gate of Vaikuntha, through the back gate of spiritual world. That is Srila Prabhupada's own words. That means, what does it mean by the back gate? It means that even if we are not qualified, these pure devotees, they have their rapport, they have their strong connection and affection with Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna is always very careful to please his pure devotees. So based on their recommendation, that is our only hope. Our hope is not that we would be able to perfect our life based on our own qualifications. Very little chance, considering the demerits in Kali Yuga, considering the anarthas we have. It's not that easy. But if we sincerely follow the method, the process that has been given by these acharyas, then based on their strength, we can have hope in our life to be able to go back home, back to Godhead. Like one time, Srila Prabhupada, in the initial days of the movement, devotees, for them, association was coming more or less by hearing from Srila Prabhupada, reading his books, because not so many devotees were there in the moment. Plus, those who were there were also very new. So devotees were very attached to being with Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada needed to expand the movement because of his advanced age, and he needed help and support from the devotees. So one time, Srila Prabhupada asked devotees who wants to go to Tokyo, Japan, to open a center there, and nobody was raising their hand because they were very afraid to go to such a place where even to get vegetable food would be a challenge, and how to manage one's spiritual life there. And then Srila Prabhupada said that whoever will volunteer to go and open a center in Tokyo, Japan, and start preaching there, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur would personally come and will take that soul back home, back to Godhead. And one particular devotee, what was his name? See, I'm beginning to forget names. Janardhan Prabhu. Anyway, I don't want to guess. But one specific devotee, he immediately felt encouraged to volunteer, seeing that I don't know whether I'll be successful, but at least I will try. And that effort itself will be so pleasing to Guru Parampara that it is Srila Prabhupada's promise that Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur would personally, I don't know whether it was Bhakti Vinod or Prabhupada said, I myself will come and take that devotee back home, back to Godhead. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada told devotees that about Mayapur Chandrodaya temple, about what is being currently being built as the temple of Vedic planetarium. Srila Prabhupada said, if we contribute or we support building of this Adbhut temple, which was envisaged by none other than Lord Nityananda Prabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Balaramji himself, and which was further, that vision was further carried by great acharyas like Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada said, whoever devotee will contribute to this project building the temple of Vedic planetarium in Mayapur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur would personally come to take that person back home, back to Godhead. So point is, our own qualifications, Prabhujis and Matajis, carry very little hope in terms of making ourselves eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. As we see that even slightest bit of anarthas can hold us back in this material world. But our qualification is our faith in the instructions of our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, and his representatives, the Guru Shishya Parampara. That is our hope. And if we sincerely follow the instructions coming in that Guru Shishya Parampara, that would bring us our qualification. That would make us eligible to really achieve this goal, which is very difficult even for great learned scholars in the earlier ages. So let me just show one verse if I can find. Hare Krishna. Yes. So this verse comes in the Katha Upanishad, where it is mentioned, Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya. Hare Krishna. Internet is bit slow, so apologies. Uttishtata Jagrata Prapya Varani Bodhata Shurasya Dhara Nishita Duratyaya Durgam Patastakva Kavayo Vadanti. That this path of spiritual life, Prabhujis and Matajis, the great Kavi, the great learned scholars, they have described it as walking on a razor's edge. Now, the Prabhujis who we shave our, beard regularly, we know how sharp the razor's edge is, or Matajis who cook in the kitchen, they know how sharp the edge of a knife is. Even if we have been shaving for decades, we still have to be careful, especially when the blade is very sharp and new and fresh. Even a little bit of inattention, if we are talking to somebody or if we are not attentive, immediately it can cut and blood can ooze. So the great learned personalities, Kavaya, they are saying that practicing and progressing in spiritual life is like walking on a razor's edge. That means we have to be very, very careful that we follow the instructions given by the predecessor acharyas very nicely, and we are not inattentive in committing offenses either towards the devotees or towards, most important is towards the holy names. Then we are very sure that even if there are vestiges of demerits, even if there are vestiges of anarthas in our heart at the end of our life, if we have put our level best effort following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, we can hope that we would also become eligible to get his mercy, to inherit his mercy. And with this, as the conclusion, we would end our discussion here. Further progress in this particular canto in terms of how Srila Vyasadeva saw these anomalies and acted on mitigating these anomalies, we would be discussing the subsequent verses. So we will stop here. Hare Krishna. Is there any question, comment, or any thoughts anyone wants to share? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna. Did all of us understand, appreciate this particular portion, qualities of Maharaj Parikshit, and why his renunciation was so special? And then about Vyasadeva, how he envisaged the fallen condition of people in this world, and he is now going to come up with a workaround, come up with a mitigation. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments? Hare Krishna. Those who are speaking, they can unmute. Otherwise, Radha, sorry, Rasarangini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, one doubt which I have with respect to the yuga, I think you spoke in detail also that the yugas are swapping, right? That is when Krishna is personally coming, it is swapping during our yuga, right? Is it that every time Krishna comes, the yuga swaps, or like this time it happened? That alone I missed, Prabhu.
Good question. So, to be honest, one second, during the regime of Vaibhashvatamanu. Yeah.
And Krishna standard comes at this time, right?
Correct.
So one day in Brahma, always during the 28th.
Correct. Correct. Whether it happens always, I will check, Mataji. I don't want to speculate. Okay.
No problem.
But one thing to think and ponder over, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, we are so special that there have been millions of years gone by in this day of Brahma, and millions of years, billions in fact, not even millions, still to go. Out of 1,000, we are only in 28 cycle. But Lord Krishna, all this duration, he would personally appear only once in his original form as Lord Krishna. And in the same millennium, we also have Krishna coming again as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is just 5,000 years from Lord Krishna's appearance, and just 500 years, around 538 years to be precise, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance that we have appeared. So it is very, very special. Otherwise, and obviously, as Prabhupada and even Bhagavatam mentions, that things get depleted and deteriorated in this age of Kali because of the influence of time. So before that deterioration happens too much, it is intelligent choice to perfect our lives as soon as we can and don't repeat this again. So Mataji, regarding your question, to be honest, I don't know exactly. I will check and come back, Mataji.
Sure,
Hare,
Prabhu.
Hare,
Hare
Thank you
Krishna,
so much,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Prema
I have
Priya
a question.
Mataji. Yes.
Now,
Yes,
the two have come already. Now, it is said that even Satna, Kalki avatar is coming. No, that is, three are coming.
Yes, so Kalki Avatar will be coming, but Kalki Avatar is not that easy to approach and interact and get mercy from. We know what type of mercy people can expect from Kalki. Basically, for all the irreligious people and the rulers, Kalki just going to chop and drop. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is not like that. Even to fallen conditioned souls, Mahaprabhu is most magnanimous. So it's much easier to accept mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu than to accept mercy of Kalki Avatar.
But
Hare
Kalki
Krishna.
is also Lord Krishna. Source is
Is-
Lord Krishna only.
Is Lord Krishna. Yes, Krishna is the source of all the avatars, but speciality about Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself coming, both as Krishna as well as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also Krishna himself coming. It is not a avatar, but all other are avatars, incarnations.
Now,
But
what
Chaitanya
would Kalki be? Kalki is avatar or
Kalki is, yes, Kalki is also avatar.
not Krishna himself?
Not basically Krishna himself,
Yeah.
but what we can say, Krishna in the form of that particular incarnation. If it is Krishna himself, the answer is yes. Is he fully equivalent to Krishna? The answer is no. Krishna still carries some special qualities which no other incarnations carry. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is even more special than Krishna. Why? Because Krishna demands qualification in terms of Sarvadharman Paritaja, surrender. He demands qualification. Then he promises relief from the sinful reactions and all that. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is so merciful that he's basically empathic. He carries empathy with the fallen condition of people in this age, and he's willing to accept us even with our demerits if we simply follow the method he has given. With all our demerits, he's still willing to accept.
Probably, is it probably because, it's going to be horrible at the end of Kali Yuga that such an avatar has to be there? Chopping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. It's going to be very, in fact, that description is very well illustrated in the 12th canto, where it is mentioned that all the righteous people, they would have to literally run away from the civilization, go and hide in jungles and all to protect themselves from the exploitation of the rulers and other people in general. So even normal living is going to be very difficult. What to speak of further down the line, we can observe just now, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, when I was young, I remember sometimes mother used to send me to purchase milk and all whenever our normal milk person won't come. And it was so easily accessible, the fresh milk at a very cheap rate. I still remember the per liter rate when I was young, close to just 3 rupees, 4 rupees, and good quality, not that, very poor quality. But now, even to get a pure milk in a place, a fresh milk in a place like metro cities, it is not easy, even if one is ready to spend. So if 30, 35, 40 years itself got has caused degradation so much, what sort of degradation is awaiting people, say 4,26,000 years down the line? Lot of degradation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or queries, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? All right. So thank you all very much for your inspiring association. And my apologies, I couldn't keep the video on for two reasons. One is I'm having a running notes, and third is the internet was also being a bit funny here. So thank you very much.
Prabhuji, no
Hare
problem.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Krishna Prabhuji,
Vancha kalpataru
session.
And thank you so much for the wonderful session,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Dandavat.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam.